So a video has been circulating of Deontay Wilder, uh, and it's just him on pads with Malik Scott, I believe. And this video has been coming up on the kind of main boxing media channels like Fight Hype, Fight Hub, IFL TV. And yeah, Wilder looks good. He looks like his usual self, to be honest. But the comments kind of tell a different story, because there are a lot of people saying, oh, he looks so much better than he did before. He looks great. This is exactly what he needs to start doing, blah, blah, blah. And I don't think these people have ever actually watched Deontay Wilder on the pads before, because either they have and they weren't paying attention, or they just haven't. Because if you look back 1 year ago or 2 years ago, whatever, like Deontay Wilder, he looks the same on pads. And to his credit, he always looks pretty good on pads. Like, he looks well coordinated, he looks quite fluid, and his athleticism and his technique always seems to shine through. He's always like that on pads. So this clip, it's good to see him back, but he's not really doing anything new. So I think we can kind of nip that in the bud right there. But also, in an extension onto that, going back to that point, Deontay Wilder has always looked very good on the pads. It's never really helped him. I don't want to say it hasn't helped him, but it's never translated as well into his fights, because he's always pretty much looked like that on the pads. But people always criticize how wild he is, wild Wilder, windmill Wilder. So I don't think it's going to have that much bearing. At his age now, I think he's approaching his mid-30s. There's probably not that many more improvements they can do technically. Maybe tactically, they can potentially alter the way he approaches a fight. And that leads on to the second point I want to make, because Wilder's, that being said, Wilder's technique, it's not necessarily his problem. Don't get me wrong, he lost to Tyson Fury because he just wasn't as good a fighter. His technique wasn't as good as Fury's. His approach to the fight, his tactics weren't as good as Fury's. And that partly links to Deontay Wilder's biggest weakness, which I don't think has been addressed, and I don't want to write him off, but it doesn't look as if it will get addressed. And that's his ego. This man is so detached from reality, and he has been for a while now. And that is his Achilles heel. It's the fact that he got so carried away with himself that he fell into the trap of belief in his own invincibility. And he just became so detached from reality that eventually, I mean, everyone loses, but he'd built himself up so much in his head that he had a long way to fall when Tyson Fury came by in that rematch and just completely demolished him. Because that fight is the type to leave mental scars on a person. I mean, any loss, I suppose, has the capacity to do that. But the loss that he suffered to Tyson Fury, when he didn't really land much. Did he land any meaningful punches on Fury? I know there was the right hand that he almost landed, but that's almost landing. Doesn't count. And after that, it was all downhill for Wilder. He really just got battered. He got demolished. And I don't think he would have quit. I believe that Deontay Wilder is a brave man. Maybe slightly deluded, but it translates to braveness, and he has got heart. But nevertheless, he lost that fight, and he was really beaten up. He had a busted eardrum. He looked bewildered. He didn't know what was going on. And so that's the most important part now, is how does Deontay Wilder, how does he rebuild from that? And it's been, what, a year and a bit since that Fury rematch. And I mean, he was he was AWOL for a lot of it. He just disappeared off the face of the earth, and now he's starting to resurface. You know, he's doing interviews here and there. I think he's on social media a bit more, and of course now this clip has come out in the past few hours. What is Deontay Wilder doing to address his psychological weaknesses? And when I say psychological weaknesses, I mean the imbalance between his ego and his physical ability. Let's be real. I want to see Deontay Wilder get back to his best possible form, because yeah, he's largely unproven and he has a paper-thin resume. But that doesn't take away from the fact that he is also one of the hardest heavyweight punchers of all time. Don't you want to see that excitement back in the division? I know I do. And for that reason, I want to see him get his mind right and get those fights. You know, be it a Tyson Fury trilogy, maybe later down the line, an Anthony Joshua fight, a Dylan White fight, an Andy Ruiz fight. Like, you can put this guy in a fight with the top 10 at heavyweight, and it'll most likely be a great fight or a great knockout if Deontay Wilder is doing the knocking out or getting knocked out. That's what we want, entertainment. And that's what Wilder brings. And he also brings a lot of memes as well. Excuse me, but yeah, what is Deontay Wilder doing to get himself on track mentally? The pad work is good to see him back again, active, but as I say, it's nothing new, and it's not really what needs to be addressed anyway. The main problem is Deontay Wilder's ego. Has he learned from the Tyson Fury defeat? Because if he has, and he applies what he's learned from that defeat, this is going to be a very dangerous man. If he hasn't, then I believe that we've probably seen the best of Deontay Wilder, and it will be probably a downhill slide from here. So yeah, just my musings on the clip after watching it this morning. As I say, I hope Deontay Wilder does the rebuilding that he needs to and comes back, because he's a great addition to an already stacked division. So yeah, guys, if you like my thoughts in the video, just give me a thumbs up. If you want to talk about it in the comments, just leave one. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. If you like the channel, subscribe. So yeah, thanks guys.